Hey, this is Mark with Crew, and I'm here to give you an overview of the GUARD study. Here's the big idea. God calls us to be wise in our dating relationships by guarding our hearts and not just throwing it out to anybody who wants it. A lot of us don't realize that God actually has things to say about how to approach a dating relationship. So today, we're going to take a look at what that is. The problem is this. In our dating relationships, we often don't even think about what God has to say about it. In fact, a lot of us don't think God has anything to say about it. So we take our cues from the world around us, the way our friends date, the way they date in the movies, and we get so caught up in the other person that they become our world. And we end up, after it's all said and done, with pain and scars and regrets that could have been avoided if we had instead guarded our hearts. Our response is this. We recognize that our heart is the wellspring of life. From our heart comes life and joy and all those things that God promises. So knowing that, we guard our heart and we're careful with who we give it away to. So here are the learning objectives. What I want my students to know is God's view of love. I want them to know how God views it and how to be wise in the way we approach romantic relationships. And what I want my students to experience is freedom from scars, from pain, from regret that will happen in those relationships where they put that person above God and they don't guard their hearts. And how I want them to respond, I want them to begin to formulate an idea of what a godly relationship looks like. What does it look like to guard your heart and put God first above your relationship? What does that even look like? And for those that are in a relationship already, I want them to reevaluate, hey, how am I treating this relationship? Am I guarding my heart? Am I putting God first? Do I care what God has to say about this? The significance of the topic, I think, is obvious. We deal with these romantic relationships all the time. Students are constantly going in and out of romantic relationships, and we often think that God really doesn't have much to say about it. As long as you don't have sex, you're fine. But that's just not the case. God does care how we treat other people. God does care how we guard our hearts. And you know, even the people that aren't in relationships, we often think so much about that girlfriend that I want or that boyfriend I want. Am I alone? Will I always be alone? That it occupies our time so much because we tend to put person or relationship above God. Guarding our hearts involves switching that and allowing God to be first in our life and to guard our hearts from being too tied into that other person. So the small group leader tip of the week is this. Be wise in where you choose your location for a small group. Don't meet in the place where there's a lot of people, where it's loud and distracting. You will never get your group focused. Instead, find a place that's a little bit out of the way, where they're not going to be distracted, where it's not too loud, and they can focus on getting to know each other and the study. So that is an overview of the GUARD study. Thank you so much for pouring into teenagers and teaching them more about Jesus. Have a great time teaching your lesson today.